Hello, welcome back to Bosom to Booty. I hope you guys can hear me. Last time, I don't think you could hear like half of the episode, but it's fine. But hopefully you can hear this one because I'm really excited for this week's episode. I also was sick the last few days, so my voice is really sexy now. So I hope you guys enjoy this one and only time. But yes, I'm so excited for this week's album. I'm getting into one of my favorite artists of all time. I've been holding off for some reason from this album. I feel like I had a lot of like slower singer-songwriter types with like Ted Lucas and Norma Tanega. And I wanted to like keep it diverse, so I don't think I've pulled out Twain. But now I feel like is the time. And I've loved like writing all of my episodes, but I don't know, the ones that have really stuck out to me have been the ones the ones that like really bring me back to when I was in high school. I feel like those are always like the easiest to write for me, because I had a lot of like obviously like I had a lot of like personal attachment to those, and they kind of like I don't know, impacted me a lot when at like a younger age, which I feel like stuck with me more, and kind of that feeling of nostalgia always. I don't know, it makes it a lot easier for me to write a show about those. So like, and I don't feel like I've had a lot. I feel like I had more of those last season than I did this season, like with Mama's Gun and Bismillah and Delhi Daydreams and Eternal Slowdown. Like all of those, I feel like so personal to me. And all of the albums I've done this year, like are also, I feel like all of the albums that I choose are personal because all of the albums I choose, I've listened to fully, like on my own time. I never really like listen to an album based off of like one song and then write a show about it. Like all of the albums I've done, I've like aside from writing the show and being and doing Bosom to Booty, like I've listened to it in its entirety like by myself, and then I've like brought it onto the show. So I feel like there's always this personal angle to it, but I don't know, this one just feels really special to me. But it's by an artist named Twain. The album is called Rare Feeling. And I don't know, it does give me it. Like at first when I was writing this show, I was starting to talk about like when I found this album in high school, but then I was doing some of my own research on my own Spotify, and I found that I only found this album in 2024, so like the first year of when I moved to Amsterdam, and like my first year of university, which was so surprising because I feel like this album really does give me like a nostalgic feeling that I have with like Delhi Daydreams and Eternal Slowdown. But I found it in March of 2024, so it's not even true. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Um, uh, but yeah, so this album was released in 2017. It's I think his second album, and it's so good. It's very like slow and folky and good for the winter times, and I'm really excited to share. So, anyways, I'm gonna play the first song. It's called Solar Pilgrim, and please enjoy.
Walk right by me. I'll be glad to have you in my life a while. There's always room for one more. Eat and drink and lay down with the beauties of this earthly world. I think that they wanna lay down with you. getting stronger, getting richer by the day. That's the way it was meant to be. But they won't tell you there was once a time when we all lived that way. That was before the money came raining down on us. Now my soul's a pilgrim and my body's barely keeping up. And one day it won't keep up anymore. And on that day I'll go sailing through the clouds, through the stars, on a solar highway to my God. But till then, I'm still healthy, sitting in the morning sun, and no one around to sit down next to me. They all know I got that kind of soul. They know and run away, 'cause they know that kind of soul don't stay long. Oh my God, come take me. I just cannot wait another day. Oh my God, come take me away.
All right, that was Solar Pilgrim, which is the first track off the album, and I love it. That's one of my favorites off the album. I really love, especially like the ending when he goes like when the guitar comes in. It's so good. So Twain, about a little bit about Twain, is a band. I always thought it was like his solo project, which it is, but he has like two other people who like play the bass and the drums for him as well. But his name is Matt Davidson, and he's from Virginia. He spent a lot of his formative years in the Bay Area. He moved to California when he was 10 with his mother. And I'm sorry, I've had a lot of like California, I feel like, on here, but sue me. That's where I'm from, and I love it. So, yeah. And I feel like you can kind of tell he gives like that California vibe. But he went to college in Marin, which is like this little part of San Francisco, or it's outside of San Francisco. I actually don't know the logistics of Marin. But my friends live in San Francisco, and my friend's grandma lives in Marin. And every time I hear Marin, I feel like I think of my friend Ava and her grandma Bubby. Shout out to Bubby, I love you. She also follows me on Instagram, so thank you so much, Bubby, for the support. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just really also like it when I hear like little places that in like an artist's lifetime. Like Norma Tanega like also lived in like Mount Baldy and all of these like random places in California. And I've never like lived in them. I've never lived anywhere else in California besides Los Angeles, but I don't know. I just think it's nice to kind of like know that the people that I listen to like have moved around in the same places and kind of come from the same um I don't know, environment that I come from. It kind of makes the world feel smaller and yeah, I don't know, more and their music more personal. So I don't know, I've always really liked that. But anyways, Matt seems like such a, as I was saying, like he's from California, spent a lot of years there. He also lived in like San Diego and all that stuff. But he really seems like a California man to me. I was like watching interviews of him and he's got like this long hair and this giant like mustache and this really big beard. And he talks like so gently and he seems like he would just walk around on the beach barefoot and content. So I don't know, I like his vibe visually. And also, I've like because of the mustache and the beard, everyone thinks his name, Twain, comes from Mark Twain because Mark also had a fabulous mustache. You guys should look him up. But it's not like in all the interviews I read about him, everyone was like, "So, what's your connection to Mark Twain? Like, do you really like him?" He's like, "I've never even read a book by him or something." And the mustache is like too on the nose, so everybody asked him about it. But the name Twain just came from his friend in high school. I think it was like a band. They were a little band like they were trying to create that never took off, and the name kind of just stuck. So that's where the name inspiration comes from, not from Mark Twain. But also it was so, at the beginning of researching this episode, it was so hard for me to like, I always had to put in Twain, Matt Davidson, for anything that I looked up because I would either get Mark Twain or Shania Twain, and I put in like Twain man, Twain singer. It was hard to find him, but his name is Matt. So anyways, I read that in a high school he would often also take like random buses to little towns and just play in those little towns, and he said like traveling with an instrument gave him a sense of belonging because he's like able to connect to others with it, and like through that he explained that like music kind of freed him from a lonely existence because it teaches him how to relate to other people and also how to relate to himself, which I really like. I think is like such a nice way to like look and use music in your life, look at and use music in your life. And also I don't know, kind of that like nomad lifestyle, it kind of I think echoes throughout his whole life. Like reading about his life, he just like lived in California and New York and Virginia and all of these different places, so he was like around town I think a lot. But anyways, enough of that. I'm going to play the next song. It's called The Sorcerer. And again, the ending of the song is also so good. I'm so excited for you guys to hear it, so please enjoy.
Every minute I spend with you, it's like eternity. So why should I get jealous about your boyfriend? The second I close my eyes, he'll be gone. The second I close my eyes, he'll be gone, gone, gone. I know he's a good guy, but even a good guy can't stick around for eternity. Not like we do every moment I'm close to you. Not like we do every moment I'm next to you. Lots of my heroes killed themselves or went insane. Or they drank so much, did so much drugs, they nearly killed themselves. Some people will tell you this means we're living in a crooked life. But I know it's society that was poisoning them and is poisoning me. 'Cause they told me such a lie. They told me I would die. They told me that my soul was limited, and sorrow became the engine of my love. But now that I can see that I'm loving clear and free, and every minute I spend with you all, it's like eternity. So why should I get worried about dying? The second I close my eyes, we'll be gone. The second I close my eyes, we'll be gone. The second I close my eyes, we'll be
So that was The Sorcerer, and again, I love the ending. Wait, can you hear me? Wait, hold on. Yes, okay. I hope so. But anyways, I love the ending. The way that he's just like wailing. So good. I want to like stand in my room and just like scream to it a little bit, you know? But so good. Anyways, so Matt was in the band called like the Spirit Family Reunion before he started his like solo career. And he says it was a lesson in humility being part of that band, which I feel like is such a like pleasant diss. But I don't know, he didn't really go into detail about like why he's not part of the band anymore. But he worked with them for a while and then went off to work on his like solo stuff. He was also part of the band The Low Anthem, which always like reminds me of A Tribe Called Quest. But I listened to a couple of the songs from each of the bands that he was in, and I don't know, to be honest, I do really prefer his like solo stuff compared. I think it's a little bit too, I don't know, it's just not my vibe. But I love this album, and I love like a lot of his like solo stuff that he's made. But yeah, so he was a part of like a lot of bands, and the band Twain is made up of him and this guy named Ken Woodward and Peter Pezzimenti. I hope I didn't butcher that. But I think he often just like plays by himself when he plays live, and it is like his solo, like all of his songs and stuff like that. I also read that this album, as well as the next album, Alternator, come from like the same one weekend in Connecticut, like the same recording weekend, and that the next album was kind of supposed to be like a B-side to this album and kind of an extension of this one. which I think is also like interesting to look at and to listen. I haven't really listened to the next album, but nice to know that like it's, I don't know, kind of like builds off of this album as well. But anyways, I'm gonna play the next song, it's called Little Dog Mind, and it gets a little bit more upbeat with this one. And I feel like this is the song. There's every time that I do an episode, there's always a song that I remember. That's like the first song that I listened to off the album, is like the song that like introduced me to the artist or introduced me to the album, like when I found it. And then I like over time, or like at the same time, like however I like found the album, I like listened to all of the album and a bunch of the different songs. And then whenever I write this show, and then there's like more songs that I like off of that album, obviously. And then whenever I write the show, I always listen to it from like Bosom to Booty, multiple times. And there's always like one song that I find again, or that I kind of like love. I don't know, that becomes like my favorite, not from the time that I found it, but from the time that I'm like re-listening to it. And this song I did find like a while ago, but listening to this album, it was this song and Rare Feeling, the title track, that kind of like became the songs for me. But anyways, I really like it, and I feel like he like picks it up a little bit in the album, becomes a little bit less like and sad, you know. So please enjoy Little Dog Mind.
I've got the strangest feeling rolling over me. What a weird feeling rolling over me. Here, little mind, I'll catch you every time. Here, little mind, I'll catch you every time. What you think you ever gonna find over there next to me? You're just like a little dog from me. You're acting like a little dog running away from me. Yeah, little mind, I'll catch you every time. Come on, little mind, I'll catch you every time. What you think you ever gonna find over that next ring? Heart so big, there's no escaping me. You're dealing with the heart so big, there's no escaping me. Yeah, come on, little mind, I'll catch you every time. Come on, little mind, I'll catch you every time. What you think you ever gonna find over that next ring? What you think you ever gonna find over that next
All right, that was Little Dog Mind. And so yes, so when I got more into Twain And the more I started listening to him and kind of like learning the lyrics and then like writing the show and looking at the lyrics to the songs, I noticed that a lot of them like felt very spiritual and sort of like gaudy, which is obviously so fine. And I want to disclaim that like I have nothing against Christianity or people believing in God and like in a God or in gods in any form. I'd like personally, I didn't grow up religious, and like religious in any form, and I don't really believe in a higher being or personified version of God, like personally. But a lot of, I don't know, I found that a lot of his songs kind of like gave this like, I don't know, yeah, like gaudy feeling to me, and kind of revolved around like Solar Pilgrim, the first song off of this track, like he's like, I'm on a solar highway to my God, and then he's got like this other song off this other album called Young God, and this other song called Angel on the Radio, which are all lovely songs. If I have time, I really want to play some more of his stuff off of that's like on different albums. And I really love those songs, but I don't know, it was really interesting because it kind of like took me back a little bit personally, when I kind of like started to realize that a little bit, because I find sometimes when like music starts to become like very praising of a god, it can admittedly become a little bit like overwhelming for me. Not because like I have anything against it, just because I don't really identify with it. And so like passively listening to the songs, I really loved them, and I wasn't really like aware of that. But like once I started listening a little bit more carefully, I don't know, I was like, oh, they all seem to revolve a lot around this like higher being or a god or heaven or like angels and stuff like that. And I don't know, like I didn't really know how I felt about it, if I'm being like completely honest. 'Cause I consider myself like a lightly spiritual person. Like I don't believe in a higher being, but I don't know, I think I consider myself to be more of like a like scientific, I don't know, like scientific for lack of a better word. I don't really know how to describe it, but like or like more secular, but I do think that I'm like, I do like to believe in like the sometimes like the things that happen in life to people, some of those things, like I don't believe that we don't really need to like rationalize, or I don't think we need to have like an explanation for. And I think there is like this element of like magic, for lack of a better word, or like this, I don't know, this thing that we can't like explain, that kind of like, I don't know, I don't just like believe, I don't know. Also, I don't like really know where it comes to that, where I stand on that sort of stuff. And I also, I don't know, I do feel kind of like more spiritual-esque when it comes to like being outside and spending time in nature and the earth and all of that. I think there's like a magical element to the world, which I feel like also kind of aligns with like me growing up in LA and with my mom and with my friends who like all like being outside in the ocean and camping and stuff like that. So I don't know, I do have like that side to me, but again, like when music becomes like, I don't know, when it feels like very religious, that's when I start to like shy away from it, I think, because again, it's just not something that I like. I start to like connect with it, I think, a little bit less. So that feeling was like really interesting to me, and I found this answer that he gave, and then so like while I was researching for this album, like I found this answer that he gave to a question about like his writing process, and he says, I was in the band Spirit Family Reunion for a while, and the chief songwriter started to write new songs that were so beautiful. They were deeply religious, that were totally unaffiliated with any personification of God. They were basically just praising life. I realized that that was a place I wanted my music to go. I do embrace more of the doubt side of that sort of spirituality, or whatever you want to call it. I like any song that worships being alive, that seeks truth. Those are the themes that I turn to internally. At least I don't know how often I communicate that, but that's what I'm after. And I don't know, like after reading that, I really like that answer, because it sounds like, or like my interpretation of that is like, for him personally, it's not about praising a personified version of God. It's kind of, it feels more of like this big appreciation for like being alive and maybe just like being in the world, which is something that I can find myself connecting to more rather than connecting to like it being about a God that I don't believe in, or like this big entity of something. And I think in that way it becomes a lot easier for me to relate to his music and to this album in general. Because like to me then it's not about this like specific God, it becomes a lot more general. And I think that's also nice because then like anyone can really take it and like apply it to their beliefs or the way that they see the world. I don't know, I think that's kind of cool. It kind of takes that initial feeling I had away, and that initial like, I don't know, overwhelming feeling that I sometimes get. And yeah, I just found myself being able to connect to it a little bit more. So anyways, I thought that was interesting and an interesting aspect of like his music and writing this episode. But I'm gonna play the next two songs. They're called Hank in Georgia and Freed from Doubt. And I hope you enjoy.
Georgia, take me out tonight. I don't feel right. All right. Hank, I'll take you dancing. I'll take you out on the town. I know why you're down, so down. You're gonna have to learn to love the part of yourself you've hated for so long. You're gonna have to learn to love the part of yourself you've hated for so long. Hank, it's so simple. You barely even have to try. Just let yourself cry. Cry. It's not just for your own good. You owe it to everyone. When you curse yourself, you're cursing everyone. So you're gonna have to learn to love the part of yourself you've hated for so long. You're gonna have to learn to love the part of yourself you've hated for so long. You're gonna have to learn to love the part of yourself you've hated outside to smoke a while and think about the picture in a book. He was laying in the grass in his suit as the angler posed in pursuit of the fish. The smell of her hair, the deer swimming through the watery woods. And life won't last long for those who hate it. For those who love it, it lingers on like a dream. My cigarette went out, the sun came out and warmed up the house. Oh, to be fainting into that painting as I wrap up the tune and bring it to you.
So that was Hank and Georgia and Freed from Doubt. And I feel like in Hank and Georgia, towards the end of it, like I don't know if you guys saw on my Instagram post, that, I don't know, sometimes I feel like he gives me Jeff Buckley vibes. And when he was like, when he sings the part, when he gets really into like, you gotta love the part of yourself. Gotta, whatever that line is, you gotta learn to love the part of yourself. That you've hated for so long. I feel like he really sounds like Jeff Buckley, but let me know what you think about that because I've gotten mixed reviews. But anyways, okay, so now the next song that I'm going to play is the title track off the album. It's called Rare Feeling version 2 because I think he released like an acoustic version of this song as a single earlier, but I haven't heard it, but I'm going to. I didn't have time, but I'm going to after the show. And I really like this song. Like I said before, I feel like this is one of the ones that I found again while listening to the album, and it's become another one of my favorites now. It's not really a song that I would listen to like every single day. It's I don't know, it's really big, and that's what I really like about it. It has this like really big, slow, hard, like sweeping beat, I feel like, throughout the entirety of it, and it gets like, it's very dramatic, which I really like, but maybe not for an everyday vibe. And I don't know, I just think it's a really nice way to describe like the album, but also like really big feelings that like you can have sometimes about something, and he kind of like leaves it up for you to decide what that rare feeling is, and like how rare it is to like feel so much about something. And like whether that be like a big sadness or like a big love for somebody or like a big sense of calm or peace. I don't know. I just think it's really nice having like this moment that you feel something where you feel something like so intensely, and sort of like the rareness of that experience, how that's like really overwhelming. It doesn't happen a lot often, obviously. But also just kind of the, I don't know, the joy that like kind of intense feeling sort of brings, I find really cool. So, and I feel like the fact that this song is like so big and dramatic kind of like goes hand in hand with that, and I feel like is really like the climax of this album. So please enjoy Rare Feeling, the title track.
every little thing he sees. Now what I've got don't seem like a lot, but it seemed that for me. Rare feeling visit me, set my mind at how it hurts. Your heart's still young and wants to go love everyone, but the loving of someone just makes another heart so sad. When feels visit me, set my mind at ease. Still my heart just leave the little part of me I need. Take me home or leave me alone. There's no in between. Rare feeling visit me, set my mind at
All right, that was Rare Feeling version 2. And so overall, Twain has released 5 solo albums, and he's worked, like I said, like on a lot of other projects as well. And he's also friends with the band Big Thief, which I didn't know until I started researching the show. And he was gonna open for Adrienne Lenker also when she came to Amsterdam last year in May. I really wanted to go to that show, especially because I thought he was opening, and I do love Adrienne Lenker as well. But he ended up not. My friends went, and then they were like, "You got us all hyped for Twain being there," and then he wasn't there. So I don't know what happened there. But he collaborated with Big Thief on their 5th studio album called Dragon New War Mountain, I Believe in You, which is also so cool. So he's making moves in the industry, and yeah, but also with his solo career, obviously. But I'm gonna play the next song, Black Chair, and then get into the song after that, Dear Mexico, which is my favorite off of this album. So please enjoy.
but you're losing me too. You're everything that I need, and if I were not such a greedy man, I could see it, man. Don't be scared, honey, don't be afraid. They only want to get paid. I only want to get closer to anything at all. The streets were bare, not a thought in the air. Paris now feels like a dream, wasting my last breath on schemes of love I'd seen too high above. I'm losing you, and I don't know what to do. How do you know it's the end? How do you lead your best friend into your loneliness? Into your loneliness. Into your loneliness. Into your loneliness. The worst came true. I didn't know what to do. Breathing myself in the air, leaning way back in my big black chair, into my loneliness, into my loneliness, into my loneliness.
All right, that was Black Chair, and now we're getting into the next song I'm gonna play. Is my favorite off the album. Also, so many people are texting me that they're listening to Twain, which is making me so happy. I'm feeling the love. Thank you so much. Hello Summer. Hello Lily. Hello Nina. Hello Mama. I'm so happy you guys are here. But thank you. Anyways, so the next song is Dear Mexico, and I really love this song. I want to get like married to the song. It makes me feel the same way as I Think of You by Rodriguez, which is another song that I want to get married to. It's just so cute, and there's this line in there that is one of my favorite like lyrics of all time. I have like a thing on my notes app of like my favorite lyrics, and this one's on there, and it goes, there's a hole inside me shaped just like the day we spent in Portal Park. And I don't know, I've loved that line so much. I like wish that's one of the lines that I wish that I wrote in my lifetime, just for the satisfaction of knowing that I wrote that. But I feel like it's such a nice way to describe a memory and like a specific feeling that you attach to like a very specific moment in your life. And I feel like a hole in your heart is kind of this like I feel like everyone kind of knows what that feeling is, maybe, and it's often described a lot, but just kind of the image, or this like abstract image of a hole being shaped like a day, is something that like I've never really heard before, and I really loved when I heard it for the first time, because I don't know, it's again like this very specific moment, or where you've spent time with someone. Like the song is about like the time you spent in a park with this woman named Joyce, because the song is called Dear Mexico, Thank You for Joyce. Um, and I don't know, it's just so like wholesome and so beautiful to me, in a way of just like imagining these two people who are probably like in love, spending a perfect day at the park, and him having his heartbreak, kind of him describing his heartbreak of her maybe not being in his life anymore. He describes it like, there's a hole shaped like this specific day that I spent with you that like made me really happy. I just really, really love it, and I really, really love this song. So please enjoy Dear Mexico, Thank You for Joyce. And then we're almost done with the album. So yes.
Think that's what's on my mind. I don't think that that's what's on my mind. I think you think I was lying. I don't think so, but if you think so, I'm lying. Once we begin, I can't begin to remember what I meant to tell you. Yeah, Mexico, thank you for joys. Sometimes I just can't believe the things they ask a man to do. Like putting up with the tomcats screaming out my window as I dream of you. Like your lover's brother spying on us as we cycle through the night. Like the portal closing up the minute I get my first taste of light. Once we dig in, I can't begin to remember what I meant to tell you. Yeah, Mexico, thank you for joys. There's a hole inside me shaped just like the day we spent in Portal Park. A cherry wind blows in, Pedro sings a song so dark. Later in the morning as the coffee cup is warming up my bed, another book should lay beside my book, your head should lay beside my head. Once we dig in, I can't begin to remember what I meant to tell you. Yeah, Mexico, thank you for joys.
All right, that was Dear Mexico. And now we're at the last song of the album. And that's all I have for this week. So I hope you enjoyed Rare Feeling by Twain. And I'll see you guys next in 2 weeks for the last episode of the season because I'm going back home for Christmas. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys soon.